In nature, some partnerships look really simple on the surface, but when you zoom in, when you really look, they reveal this absolutely incredible level of sophistication. Today, we're going to unpack one of the most famous examples out there, the alliance between the acacia tree and its own private army of ants. It's a story of housing, food, chemical warfare, and even a little bit of metabolic manipulation. Okay, let's dive right in. So, picture this. You're on the floor of the Costa Rican rainforest. A giant tree falls, and that creates this precious gap of sunlight. Suddenly, the race is on. Every plant is scrambling to grow up and claim that light. But the swollen thorn acacia, it's got a secret weapon. It doesn't just grow, it builds an entire ecosystem for its defenders. You can see right here what the tree offers. These cool, hollowed-out thorns for shelter, little glands that secrete nectar for sugary drink, and these nutrient-packed pods called Belchian bodies. It's basically an all-inclusive resort for its tenants, the acacia ants. So just how deep does this rabbit hole go? Well, first, we'll look at the classic bodyguard for hire deal. Then, we're going to see how the ants take on extra roles as, believe it or not, gardeners. After that, we uncover their hidden life as pharmacists. Then we'll get into the brilliant way the tree keeps its army loyal. And finally, we'll see how this isn't some static deal, but a living, breathing contract that's always changing. All right, let's start with the basics. This is the story you might have heard before. A tree that offers room and board in exchange for 24/7 security. It's a textbook example of what we call mutualism, where both partners get something great out of the deal. And this deal? It is incredibly comprehensive. The acacia tree is essentially a full-service landlord. It provides secure housing inside those swollen thorns, it offers a constant tap of sugary nectar for the adult ants, and it serves up these amazing protein-rich Beltian bodies, which are just perfect for their growing larvae. And in return, the ants are a ferocious, elite security force, swarming and attacking literally anything that tries to take a bite out of their home.
And this protection is absolutely critical. I mean, scientists have found that when they remove the ant colonies, the poor, defenseless trees are often completely stripped of their leaves by predators. This relationship is so deeply co-evolved that even the thorns themselves, as the naturalist Thomas Belt noticed almost 150 years ago, are stronger when the ants are living in them. Without their partners, the trees just don't stand a chance.
But the partnership doesn't stop there. The ants aren't just bouncers for the tree. Their job description is actually much broader than that. They're also meticulous, full-time gardeners. So here's the key thing. The ants' patrol goes way beyond just fending off a grasshopper or some mammal. They actively clear the area around their host tree. If a rival vine starts to creep up the acacia, trying to steal that precious sunlight, the ants get to work, using their powerful jaws to literally chop the competitor down. They make sure their home, the acacia, wins that race for light and nutrients. Now, this all makes sense for threats you can see, right? Animals, insects, other plants. But that brings up a really fascinating question. What about the dangers that are invisible to the naked eye? Like bacteria and other microscopic pathogens? And this is where we get to the next truly amazing layer of this whole thing. It turns out the ants aren't just bodyguards and gardeners, they're also pharmacists, providing a powerful living shield against disease. And the visual evidence for this is just stark. Look at these two leaves. On the left, a healthy leaf from an acacia that's patrolled by its helpful ant partners. On the right, a leaf from a tree with parasitic ants that, well, don't do their job. The difference in health is just obvious. The unprotected leaf is riddled with signs of disease, while the protected one is green and vibrant. So how does this even work? Well, research has found that the ants carry their own symbiotic partners, beneficial bacteria living right there on their legs. So as the ants patrol the acacia's leaves, they're like tiny medics, spreading these antibiotic-producing bacteria all over the leaf surface. This microbial film actively stops harmful plant pathogens from growing. It basically gives the tree an external immune system. How cool is that? Okay, so the ants provide security, gardening, and healthcare. But in any partnership, there's always the risk of one partner cheating, taking all the benefits without doing the work. The acacia, well, it has evolved a brilliant and very sweet solution to make sure its army stays loyal. To understand this trick, we need to talk about a specific enzyme called invertase. You can think of it like a biochemical key. Most ants have this key, and it lets them unlock the energy in sucrose, which is the most common type of sugar you find in the nectar of other plants. And here is the genius of the trap. The acacia tree's nectar is unique. It has absolutely no sucrose in it. So over thousands and thousands of years, the loyal Pseudomyrmex ants, who never needed that invertase enzyme, have lost the ability to make it. And the result? They are metabolically locked to their host. They can't digest the nectar from other plants anymore. They are completely dependent on the acacia for food, which ensures they'll never abandon their post for a different meal. So you might think, okay, this is a completely locked-in, inflexible contract. But the final layer of complexity here is that it's not. It's a dynamic negotiation, and the tree can actually adjust the terms based on the performance of its tiny bodyguards. This point is so important. The tree isn't just passively handing out rewards like a vending machine. Research shows it's actively monitoring the situation and can change how much it invests in its ant partners. It's not a fixed deal. It's a constantly adapting partnership. Let's just look at the data. This chart shows how much leaf damage trees get when they're occupied by different ant species. So trees with Chromatocaschera crinosa, that's a pretty weak defender. They suffer a lot more damage from herbivores. But in contrast, the trees with the strong defenders from the Pseudomyrmex genus, way lower levels of damage. The quality of the defense clearly matters. And this is how the tree responds. This chart shows how much it's investing in those protein-rich food bodies. And as you can see, the trees with the weaker C. crinosa ants, they produce way fewer of them. It's almost as if the tree is saying, hey, you're not doing a great job, so I'm not going to invest as much in feeding you. It's an incredible example of a plant adjusting its strategy in real time based on the quality of service it's getting. So what began as a simple story of a tree and an ant turns into this multi-layered epic of coevolution involving gardening, microbiology, and biochemistry. This powerful alliance doesn't just benefit the two partners, it literally shapes the entire structure of the forest. And it really makes you wonder, how many other complex, powerful alliances like this are out there, just hiding in plain sight, waiting for us to unpack them?